When I was a young boy at Rockbridge Baths, Virginia, between the years 1905 and 1910, we had an elder in our church who was named Alfred McCurdy. Old Alf, they called him. He was a very pious man, and my father, who was the minister at that time in Bethesda Church, used to call on him frequently for what we called the long prayer. And when this gentleman prayed, he prayed in a way that I had never heard before, and I never have heard since in this country. He prayed as if he were talking to God. He prayed at great length, and he said the same prayer. He used the same phrases over and over. And it was an unusual prayer, because it was kind of a liturgy with which I was unfamiliar. It had a cadence about it. In a way, you would say it was sing-song. It went up and down. It never varied. And it impressed me enormously. As a matter of fact, Mr. McCurdy's prayers impressed me more than anything I heard as a child. And I often wondered where he got his prayer, what it came from. And I had to wait until I was a student in Oxford after the World War I to find out. I believe it was in the summer of 1922. Members of my family had come from Lexington, Virginia, and were joining my mother, who was with me at Oxford that year. And we were taking a trip to Scotland. As we came down the Caledonian Canal, we stopped at a little Scotch town named Oban on the west coast of Scotland. It was Sunday, and I thought it would be interesting to go to hear a sermon in Gaelic, because I knew they still talked Gaelic in that part of Scotland. So I went to the Gaelic church in Oban, and to my astonishment, I heard the long prayer given there in exactly the same manner as I'd heard it at Rockbridge Baths. In other words, the Scotch people had brought over, either from Scotland or from North Ireland, to Virginia, their form of making a prayer. It had come down generation after generation. I heard the same cadence, the same expressions, even though it was in Gaelic. I heard the same attitude of reverence, and it was entirely the same kind of thing. And that moved me very much, because I'd never heard that kind of prayer given before, and I knew from whence it came. And I knew the Scotch had brought it to the Valley of Virginia with them. And I knew that they had devoutly expressed through that prayer what their fathers and their great-grandfathers had believed. And I thanked God for this expression of faith that it continued to the McCurdy's generation after generation and still goes on.